Okay, that's got it fixed with the proper information this time. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this going while we're waiting for anybody who wants to join in to join in. This here is the Peugeot 108 front-wheel drive, semi-race rigged. And I guess rigged is the operative word, all right. Is it drifting backwards in the pit lane at Brands? Oh, boy. Well. I haven't been having a good time practicing for the evaluation race for the league in this thing, but I've got to say, at Brands Hatch, this one feels very nice. It gives you warning before it lets go completely, at least at speed. But the thing is, if you want to get the maximum speed out of it, you do have to be able to throw the rear end of it around. And that's something I'm not comfortable with and probably never will be. Okay. I don't know what the deal is with the sound. It sounds like it's trying to simulate rain. The league is having a daytime sprint and a nighttime feature, which means weather has to be turned on in custom shader. But I did not deliberately turn on weather in Assetto Corsa when I did this. That was too much. Okay, that lap is ruined. I'll explain more, but I get 2 more laps. All the cars that we're doing after this one, and there are going to be a few, are going to be of a certain theme. They're pretty much all spy cars of some kind, James Bond and otherwise. Oh, that was shit. That's much better. Come on. Oh yeah. Even with the understeer, when you get on the gas, that worked. 1 lap to go. That's fucked it right there. That tail wag means I'm not going to gain from this. Unless I get very lucky pushing hard on this. Nope, and that's a disqualify. Alright, back in a little bit, I think. Or not, I don't... There we go. In the meantime, if you don't know, my name is Chris Overstreet, otherwise known as the Redneck Gaijin. Welcome to the show, everybody. And I've done, is it 3 or 4 of these videos now? Basically, I take a group of cars and put them around Brands Hatch Indy to test them. The first of the cars that I actually plan to do, now that we're done stalling for time, is this, the Aston Martin DB5 Vantage S. This is the original classic James Bond car. Back in the early days, this was the one that spoke both class and sportiness back in the early 1960s. And of course, the Daniel Craig James Bond has a modified DB5 that sometimes shows up in his films when it's not getting blown up or wrecked or what have you. And yes, back in 1961-62, this was close to the cutting edge of the kind of sports car that a British person could buy and drive legally on the street. But the key term there is early 1960s, and by modern standards, I hate to say this, but unless you've got Q doing your mechanical work for you, this is badly outdated. It's no longer anything what you'd call good, except maybe for looks. And even looks are a bit, well, you see the rounded rear window there? That's basically saying, yes, we want to be a bit daring. We want to be kind of Porsche-ish, maybe hint at Ferrari-ness, but we're still British and still very conservative, so we don't want to make too many changes from the 1950s misery mobiles we've been driving. So, I will say I have not actually driven this mod yet. Not an inch on any track. I used this in the video I did for Christmas, but I didn't drive it myself. I just gave it to the AI to run with. So now we're going to give it a run. Okay, here's the deal. I get 1 outlap and 5 flyers, and if I screw up and have to go back to pits, then I have to use one of my flyers for another outlap unless it's something to do with the mod. I take the hottest lap of my 5 flyers and I put it on a leaderboard, which you're not going to see in this live stream, but will be right about here, image, in the finished video, which I'll probably edit together in a week or two. So, let's see here. First, I'm going to have a quick look at what I can adjust with this. Vintage sports tire, only one kind of tire, no surprise. We're not going to need 100 liters. 30 is probably going to be plenty, but we'll see. I have run out of gas in these tests before. Can't do much rear camber. Yeah, there's not much you can do besides alignment on this thing and tire pressures. All right. So let's see. Oh, that gurgle of naturally carbureted engine. Oh, that oversteer. That huge delay in steering. Oh, God. Oh. Understeer and oversteer almost at the same time. This thing is really not happy about being a car. Whoa, 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 whoa. Damn. Well, that's not good already. I didn't even get to the end of my outlap. Back to pits, try it again. And the traction control is having to work overtime on this. This car was intended to have gentler handling than I ever intend to give it. It is slidey and not in any good way. To give you an idea, I hate front-wheel drives in general. I'm really not good at driving them. But I'd rather have that Peugeot 108 in a race than this thing. This is not good. Okay, that wasn't it. It wants to understeer or oversteer, nothing in the middle. You can kick out the rear end with the throttle. The problem is trying to gather it back. no, you are... Ah. Come on, get back on the road. That's that lap spoiled, and probably the next one too, because I'm going to have a shitty run-up to start this next one. Three laps left. Okay, that actually turned out to be the best one yet. Finally got it under a minute. But late braking, yeah, the brakes are about as good as you can expect for early 1960s, which is another way of saying not good at all. A lot of you who are watching this are going to be Englishmen, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but I'm all but positive the only reason James Bond drove this thing was pure patriotism, because this is misery. Last lap coming up. And that's it. Yeah. Brakes aren't great. Car wants to understeer and oversteer depending on where your throttle is, where the brakes are, and where the wheel is. It's not all that predictable. Mechanical grip is really poor. And all of that wouldn't be so bad if it had acceleration, but it really does not. This is early 1960s tech. That's all there is to it. And newer things are just better. So, anyway, James Bond can have this one. Let's move on to another James Bond movie. James Bond car. Although this wasn't a different movie, so maybe that counts, or maybe I'm just babbling. Yeah, I'm just babbling. Alright, for the next one, we're going to want to go to Lotus. Another English car maker, of course. The Lotus Esprit Turbo, which is as close as I could get to the submarine car that James Bond drove. Yeah, the Lotus Esprit that they turned into the submarine wasn't a turbo. It was some other submodel, but they didn't make a mod specifically of that one, and they did make one for this. Let's put this one on the track and see what it can do. Incidentally, this mod is just the car. It does not have the submarine part of it, I think. Okay, what the hell? Okay, that's not going to work. I think what we're looking at here is that some mods have this issue where if you turn on traction control or ABS, you lose both gas and brakes, or some variant thereof. So, as much as I would like to have these, it looks like I'm not going to be able to. Okay, which is going to make this all the more fun. Steering is a lot very stiff. I have AC set for light force feedback, because a lot of the cars that I drive clip out the top end of the force feedback in AC, at least on this G29 wheel that I use. But this is very stiff. It's like it turns itself up, which is not terrible. It means I'm feeling every part of the road here. But it's not what I was expecting, and it doesn't give me confidence going into this first flyer. It's a hell of a lot less drifty than the DB5 was, I'll give it that. Whoa. Yeah, no ABS means I'm prone to locking up because I have a heavy foot. It turns great. It does turn great. In fact, I have to watch out a little bit for not so much oversteer as steering more than I intended to. The car feels very planted. It feels like there's a hell of a lot of active aero on it. And there's not. There's not any aero. It's just pure car body and mechanical grip. I would have to wonder whether or not whoever made this mod used an F1 or other Formula similar car for the underlay of it. Because this does not feel at all as loose in the corners as you would expect an early 1970s sports car with that shape to be. Third feels like it bogs down a little bit, even shifting out of the top of second. Okay, last lap. Using every inch of the racing surface, trying to get that last little bit out of it. Uh-oh, that blew it right there, losing the back end. Still gonna be in the 53, so it's not terrible, but I feel like I could have had a low 53 instead of a 53.9 there. Still, this is a lot more worthy of a Super Spy, especially if you make it able to withstand ocean pressures. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now, when I made the Christmas special, I originally wanted, in addition to the Spy cars, I wanted to have Lupin III turn up and run through the field, but Lupin III is best known for two particular cars. One is a souped-up Fiat 500, and we've already put the goddamn Abarth around Brands Hatch Indy and got times for it. I don't want to do that again. And the other one, no. The other one turned out to be undrivable at an icy Nordschleife. Because the other one is this, the Mercedes-Benz SSK from the 1930s. Now, I've test-driven various Grand Prix cars from the 1920s, and although they were slow, especially by today's standards, they were very nice handling to drive, because that was the point at which the power of the engine still had not overcome the power of the tires. Once you got into the 1930s, that was no longer the case, and the tires did not catch up for 40 years. And this has the additional problem of being tail light, front heavy, and you're basically steering from the rear axle. So, even under the best of conditions, it's a pig to drive, at least on the Nordschleife. And on the ice, it was it just would not turn at all. Traction control, you can adjust the front end toe, and that's it. And how the hell you get negative 108 toe? Oh, and you can adjust the rear ride height, but you can't adjust the rear alignment at all. Just makes no sense. We're going to drive on it on the default setting and see just how miserable this thing is. It does have grunt, I'll give it that. For a 1930s vehicle, it has definitely got acceleration. But yeah, it does not steer at all. And I'm sure Lupin III drove this only because of the looks. Oh, and the brakes are even shittier than the steering. Yeah, before I go any further, let's go ahead and turn ABS off and see if that helps the braking issues at all, because it might. Go ahead and turn traction control off too. Wow, that is some savage, absolutely savage turbo lag. Yeah, steering is shit. That's... Nope, turning off ABS did not help with the brakes, not even one little bit. The brakes are just barely a suggestion. Does not steer, does not stop. I take it back, it's not just because of looks. Lupin III drives this because he likes to be right one short step away from suicide. He's an adrenaline junkie, and this car will kill you. Now the question is, will I even get a legitimate lap in this beast? Turn, you bastard. Yeah, this is no joy to drive at all. Except it looks good. It does look very nice, I'll give it that. Just slowly drifts off the pavement. Frustrating. Turn. There we go. Let's see if we can get this in with a lower lap time than the Ford Transit. I doubt it. Okay, last lap. And then I can put this away and never drive this mod again. Okay, I wasn't expecting to get into the 110s, but just managed to wrestle this beast into it. Oh boy, and wrestle is the word. My arms are already tired and we've still got about half a dozen cars to go. Cause shit. Alright. The next one is kind of stretching the point for spy cars. Because it's not a spy car, it's an assassin's car. But it's an Alfa Romeo, so it can be forgiven. The Alfa Romeo Giulieta Spider, this is the race version of it, but you saw the street version of it in the 1973 film Day of the Jackal. This is the Jackal's ride. There are other Giulietas. Alfa Romeo has been making Giulietas for quite some time. This is actually a 60 racer. This is older than what I was looking for, but everything else was like 20 years newer. This is as close as I could get. So this actually is a year or two older than the DB5, but I'm hoping this is lighter. Change, that's about it. Yeah, another classic mod where you can't do much to it. I have done nothing with this car besides download it, so... It doesn't have as much body roll as the Alfa Romeo GTA, which that's a car that I quite like. Acceleration is not wonderful at all. And acceleration is really miserable. As nice as this car looks, and the fact that it's Italian, you would expect more grunt than this. I mean, we're not even hitting 90 on the straight. I think this is more or less a victim of the fact that it's a 1960 era car. That it feels so much nicer than that Mercedes tank. It's not bad to drive except that it's slow. Okay, the rear end does step out just as much as you would want it to. That's nice. Good grip. Decent brakes. It's faster than the Merc, but it's slower than just about everything else. Of course, I say nice brakes. This thing, the ABS is back enabled again. Alright, last lap. Should have braked it a little bit later there, come to that. There is a 106 in this, in somebody who can actually drive. As it is a mid 107, in a car with this little acceleration, I'll call that an accomplishment and be happy with it. But yeah, it's just as well that he was an assassin and not a spy, because the Jackal's whole deal was not being detected. And he's certainly not going to attract any traffic cops' attention with this car. Yeah, the Fiat 500 wasn't just a Lupin III car. I believe it was actually used in a couple of James Bond films, and it was also used in at least one of the Mission Impossible films. But the old Austin Mini. I don't have the livery for... I don't think I've got the livery for it, but let me double check. Yeah, it doesn't have it here, but this is one of the two Shagmobiles driven by Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. And that movie might be at least partially responsible for the revival of Mini in the late 90s. Anyway, this is the older version from the early 1960s. So it's going to be similar to the Spider we just drove, and also of a similar era to the DB5. But it doesn't look cool, does it? I mean, it looks hipster, or hipster from 20 years ago, but this was just an updating of the Austin 7, which was one of Britain's earliest cars for the people, i.e. cheap. Of course, this one is the race-rigged version. This was from early British touring car days. So this would also be fitting for a Master Spy to have, something that could really go if you put the foot down. Get away from Dr. Evil's minions, you know. Okay, Outlap has promise. It's got a little bit more considerably more acceleration than the Alfa Romeo we just drove did, but about the same grip and the same brakes, which don't do so good a job of keeping up with the extra speed. It's lively and it's exciting to drive, or nerve-wracking might be a better way of putting it. Three laps left. Let's see if I can make one that doesn't suck, huh? Understeer is kind of a problem. Yeah, that didn't work out. Wait a second, is it going to take over? No. Come on. Last lap. I know for a fact I can do under a 58-second lap in this car on here, but it's just not quite coming together for me here, and I'm not going to invest more time in it. We need to be moving on to the next spy car. Specifically, Austin Powers' other spy car. The classic Jaguar E-Type from 1965. This was the Shagmobile from the second Austin Powers movie. Sadly, the mod maker did not see fit to gift us with a Union Jack skin for the thing. And I couldn't be bothered to add one separately, although there are so many different colors here. Oh, I like that one in particular. Oh, yes. All right, let's put the Jaguar E-Type around the track. Quite frankly, as iconic as the DB5 is, when I think of spy car, I'm either thinking about this or the Ferrari California because of the swoop and the old style rear window. but the nice long bonnet with the huge engine with all the horses under the hood. That should do nicely. Oh, wow, so many things you can change on this mod. So very many things. And let's take this puppy on the road. Oh, that's a deep growl it's got. Brakes ain't great, though. We're still stuck in the 60s with these classic cars. Steering is heavy and slow. Its turning radius is really big for a sports car. Yeah, I should have gone with shortening the gear ratios when I had the chance, I think. But the times are not bad. Times are not bad at all. Come on. There we go. On the gas just a little bit too early there, coming out of Druids, and lost a tenth and a half or so, I think. This thing is not nimble. It's, like I said, it's very hard to steer, large steering radius, and the brakes are not great. Huge stopping distances. This, I think, is the last lap, by the way. Too much. Yeah, I blew that one. So 54.01 is going to be the record time for this one. Looks gorgeous, and it's not terrible to drive, but it's a workout. It really is a workout, and it's more about straight line speed than anything, and of course, above all else, it's still a 1960s alleged sports car. Before we get to the modern cars, I need to take on the car that is the whole reason for this video, the one that was requested. I actually had a Patreon supporter ask me to drive the car that Patrick McGowan drove in the classic spy thriller TV series from England, The Prisoner. And that was the Lotus 7 Series 2, which unfortunately I could not find a mod of for Assetto Corsa. I thought I had found a Lotus 7 Series 1, but that turned out to be for an older game than Assetto Corsa. Of course, there's a good reason for that. Not too long after The Prisoner was filmed, Lotus sold the rights for the design to the 7 to Caterham, and they turned it into a kit car. And for about 30 years, the Caterham kit car, which was usually called the Caterham 7, but there were a bunch of variants, aside from minor tweaks to the engine, and I do mean minor, they were for all practical purposes identical to the original Lotus 7, or the 7 Series 2 anyway. Then in 2011, Lotus bought Caterham out, so they got the rights back to it, and they started modernizing it, and it's, in my opinion, it's not as good, because the Lotus 7 / Caterham 7 is one of the perfect race day cars. It's extremely light, extremely responsive. Yes, it's a small engine, but the lightweight car means it's a very nimble vehicle to work with. So it's a true joy to drive once you learn how to drive it. I haven't learned how to drive it. I suck at this car. But we're going to take it out anyway. This particular one is a 1990s version, the Super Sprint LHD from 1995. I chose it because it looks a little bit closer in details to the prisoner's car, and it's closer to the 1969 or so era Lotus 7 Series 2, at least in heritage. This was as close as I could get to the request, so fax, here's your car. Let's see what we can do with it. Not a lot, as it happens. Oh, this thing is so off-center. Not terribly surprising. It seats two, in theory. Two very friendly people. Yeah, it's a bit floaty, as you would expect. There's no aero on this at all. It's basically a brick. But it's a lightweight brick. It's a styrofoam brick. Somebody who can actually drive will get a 55 out of this, no problem, I think. Okay, last lap coming up. And that was shit. Braking too early because I keep underestimating the effectiveness of the brakes on this thing. We're not going to improve over the previous lap, which means we're not going to get to number 56. Sad to say. And yeah, I really had to stretch for that one, but yeah, it's fun to drive. It really is. If you want to make it slide around, you can, just about. If you want something stable, it's definitely that. This is a great beginner's car, in my opinion. This is definitely something a dentist would take out for track day. And, of course, Patrick McGowan was no dentist. All right. Now we're going to go to something a little bit more modern. We're going to get into the Mission Impossible movies. As you may have heard, Tom Cruise is a real gearhead, and he's got impressive cars in all the Mission Impossible movies. But strangely enough, the car used most often by the good guys in Mission Impossible is the Land Rover Defender. That thing. Yeah, they use this more often than anything else. Oh boy. Well, let's put it on the track and see what we get out of it. Maximum speed, 214 kilometers an hour. So on this track, we're probably going to be lucky to hit 100 miles an hour. Acceleration is really not all that. In fact, it sounds and feels like it's misfiring. I'm glad that I added the extra camber on the rear, otherwise that would have been spit out or even possibly a rollover. So much for all-wheel drive that gravel didn't care about all-wheel drive. And something else I've noticed, the left front tire is lit up. Okay, this one I can't sling around like I have been the rest of this video, stream, whatever, because this is all-wheel drive, which means the rear end just doesn't break loose. This car does seem to benefit from more gentle handling, to a certain extent anyway. But that left front does not like what I'm doing to this car, and that's a fact. Okay, 102 aught. Can I get to the 101s? There we go. Okay, 1015. Considering this is absolutely anything but a racing car, I'll take that. But sometimes Super Spy's got to go out in the woods, you know? And when there's bullets flying, I suppose this is going to be the kind of car that you want to get you as far away from the baddies as possible. I guess. Myself, I think I'd look for something that can outrun the bullets, but you know. Although, like I said, that's the most frequently used car in the Mission Impossible movies. But in addition to this, in almost all the Mission Impossible movies, Tom Cruise somehow finds his way to get his hands on a BMW of some kind. Various kinds, including, I believe that the M3 actually comes with Assetto Corsa. But I chose a different one. I couldn't get the convertible version of this, which is what was in the movie, but there, the BMW i8. This is technically a hybrid, although the batteries last less than 25 miles before it has to kick in the generator. And really, it's not any more efficient to speak of than your standard gas car. This was very much a betwixt and between thing. That said, I'd rather have this than the fucking Tesla any day of the week. Let's take it to the track. There we go. Not much you can adjust on this, which is kind of surprising for a cutting edge. This is practically a concept car, really. And again, sadly, this one does not have the option to lower the roof. Oh well. Why is it saying engine damage when the turbo tops out? That's really annoying. This feels like a modern sports car. It feels tight, feels planted, especially with all the... and apparently it's got ERS as well, which I wasn't expecting. Okay, what it doesn't have is brakes that can keep up with the... This is still a heavy car. Yeah, this is going to take a lot of braking distance, isn't it? Yeah, and mechanical grip is not all that because it's a heavy fucking car. Quite frankly, the M3 would have been nicer to drive. Or maybe I could have found an M5 mod someplace. The M5 was... Damn. Okay, this thing, it feels planted, but it can't turn. It cannot turn in tight corners. Yeah, this is not good. Having to hard brake for that kink is ridiculous. And that flashing, the engine is actually taking damage. I can see the yellow starting to show up there. Which is ridiculous, because what the hell are you supposed to do about that? Okay, coming up on the final lap. At first it felt good, but then the more I actually drive it, the less good it feels. And the fact that the mod is actively trying to self-destruct makes me like it even less. That said, somebody who's more used to driving GT cars than I am will probably get into a sub 50 on this. I'm leaving tons and tons of time on the track. But so far as I'm concerned, the time can stay there. I'm not that fond of driving GT style cars with their huge horsepower, but also huge weight. And let's face it, lithium batteries in a car are fat. It's wacky race time. Okay, and for my car, we're taking, as I usually do with these things, a cheat car. And it's going to be the one favored by Jason Bourne. And I actually have seen one of these in real life at the same dealership where I bought my cargo van, which tells you all you need to know about that dealership, I think. But the Dodge Charger Hellcat. Yeah, we're going to see if I can get through the field on that. I think my odds are pretty good. Haven't driven it an inch, but I'm feeling confident. And starting position, completely random if at all possible. 5 laps, because quite frankly, editing the last one with 15 laps was way too much work. Right, here we go. And where did I end up? About middle of the field, slightly ahead of middle. But they kept everybody 2 by 2. And I'm directly behind the Mercedes Lupin, so that's going to be a struggle just to get through right there. Maximum speed 460 kilometers per hour. This thing apparently is not much slower than a Bugatti Chiron. Let's hit it. Go, cracker boxes. Okay, brakes. Better than the i8, but not so good. You tried the switchback on me, but I'm pretty sure I've got the legs on you once I get straightened out. No, he's matching me. Ugh, just barely got past that. Probably a 47 in this, but yeah, that's why you don't mess with Jason Bourne. Good night, everybody.